A cherished family treasure since 1962, a vibrant painting by Angel Boteo captures the three kings, the Virgin Mary and the Christ Child. This painting graced the guest's Puerto Rican home, a vibrant reminder of their friendship with Boteo and his wife.
My parents and him and his wife, Christian Boteo, were dear friends. We would hang out on weekends together.
Boteo, born in Spain in 1913, moved to France in the 1920s, where he studied architecture until 1935. From the Spanish Civil War to the Caribbean, he found inspiration in Haiti before settling in Puerto Rico in 1953. His art vividly captures Caribbean life through angular forms, vibrant colors, and a celebration of local traditions. Celebrating rather than imposing colonial narratives, the painting in question reflects his unique perspective.
So he's almost like a Spanish colonial painter. He paints from a perspective not of a colonialist, but as part of the society. So when we look at this, what does this depict, for example?
The artwork is an oil on a wooden panel, likely framed in a style consistent with Boteo's own preferences. While it does not bear a title or date on the back, its origins are traced to the early 1960s. Due to its size, historical significance, and the rarity of similar works, it is valued for insurance purposes at approximately.
This artwork, if you were going to insure it, I would insure it for $100,000. In the world of wristwatches, nothing quite compares to Rolex, and within Rolex, the Submariner stands in a league of its own. The watch presented today is a Rolex Submariner, an icon among luxury timepieces. Incredibly, this particular model exemplifies the greatness for which the Submariner is renowned. Rolex watches serve multiple functions, with the Submariner being specially designed for diving enthusiasts and capable of withstanding underwater pressures up to 200 meters.
Yeah. Back in 1953, Rolex decided they wanted to create a watch that would do pretty well anything.
Yes. Yeah.
You could wear it when you were diving.
Yeah.
Introduced in 1959, this model is the 5512, known for its exceptional craftsmanship and robust build.
But this particular model, it's the 5512.
That's right, yeah.
You've got this wonderful gilt dial.
Additionally, this Rolex watch features a beautiful gilt dial, typical of early Submariners, adding to its vintage charm. The 5512 also has a chronometer certification, making it both stylish and highly accurate. It includes a distinctive triangle marker at 12 o'clock and luminous dot markers, ensuring readability even in low light. The rotating bezel is designed to track diving times, a key feature that made the Submariner a favorite among professional divers. Its black dial with gilt printing further enhances the watch's elegance and timeless appeal. The bracelet is the iconic Oyster style, known for its durability and comfortable fit on the wrist. Remarkably, this timepiece is an original Rolex and retains its box and certificate, adding to its collectability and value. In an auction, reflecting its impeccable provenance, this Rolex Submariner could command a significant price of.
Someone would be very happy to pay between £20,000 and £30,000 for it.
Right. Wow. Wow. Great.
Our guest shared a painting by William Henry Johnson, a renowned African-American artist from Florence, South Carolina, born in 1901. Johnson studied art in New York City at the National Academy of Design under notable teachers.
He saved up enough money to go to New York City and study at the National Academy of Design.
In the 1920s, Johnson traveled to France, where he was deeply influenced by expressionist painters, especially.
And he was very influenced by the French artists that he met there, particularly an artist named Haïm Soutine.
This painting shown was created in 1928 during his stay in Cagnes-sur-Mer, marking it as one of Johnson's early works. The appraiser explained that the artist's later work shifted towards depicting African-American life, using simple, vibrant colors inspired by Danish folk art, through his wife's influence. Although the painting has some condition issues, including cracking and loose canvas, it remains in overall good shape and retains Johnson's authentic signature. In its current state, the appraiser estimated the painting's retail value to be at.
This painting would sell for $80,000 to $120,000.
The piece was purchased by the guest at a Goodwill store for under $20.
I got it about 15 years ago or so at a Goodwill store. I think it was under $20.
Presented here is a world map created by the renowned Dutch cartographer Willem Blaeu. Blaeu, celebrated for his work as a cartographer, globe maker, and publisher, greatly influenced the art and science of map-making during the Dutch Golden Age of exploration. Born in Alkmaar, Netherlands, he studied under the famed astronomer Tycho Brahe in Denmark, igniting his passion for precision in mapping.
In 1596, Blaeu established a publishing house in Amsterdam, producing highly detailed maps, globes, and atlases revered for their artistry and accuracy. This image is one of Blau's most famous world maps, which led to numerous reproductions over the centuries. Upon close examination, the appraiser noted a ridge along the edges, suggesting the impression of an original plate mark.
There's a ridge, and that is a plate mark. And it's a good-looking plate mark.
When removed from the frame, it was clear that the map had been glued to a board, and a centerfold was felt, which supports the authenticity of a 17th century original.
Okay, it looks flat because it's been glued down. There was a centerfold there. Looking at that, looking at the plate mark.
The appraiser concluded that this is likely an original 1640 Blaeu map, with the cartographer's name and the date 1630 indicating its initial publication in Amsterdam. All colouring on the map was applied by hand, matching the characteristics of Blau's meticulous works.
Is that all hand-colored?
That's hand-colored. It's an engraving. It would have been printed in black and white.
In its current condition, despite being laid down, this rare piece by Willem Blaeu would have an auction value of.
Even in this condition, it's worth $10,000 in a shop.
Holy cow.
Displayed at this time is a scrapbook, an item that holds different meanings for different people. This scrapbook belonged to Clyde Milan, the grandfather of our guest. Clyde Milan, also known as Deerfoot, was an American professional baseball player who played in the major leagues from 1907 to 1922. The scrapbook features a photograph of Walter Johnson, who was recruited at the same time as Clyde Milan.
Walter Johnson, of course, one of the winningest pitchers of all time, Hall of Fame pitcher.
Right. Walter Johnson, also known as the Big Train, was a legendary American professional baseball player. They both played for the Washington Senators, with Milan going on to become a player-manager for the Senators.
He was an outfielder for the Senators from 1907 till 1922 when he became a manager player for.
The Washington Senators were a professional baseball team that played in Washington, D.C. from 1901 to 1960. This scrapbook contains several photos and newspaper articles about the life of Clyde Milan and his associates during their playing days. Most important among them is a document containing a petition against Carl Mays by the Cleveland Baseball Club. This petition was signed by several members of the team after a ball thrown by Carl Mays killed a member of their team, Ray Chapman.
After one of their teammates, Ray Chapman, had been hit in the head with a baseball thrown by Carl Mays.
Considering the history behind this amazing scrapbook, without this piece of paper, it would command a fee of.
Players on the team that you'll see here, including the pitcher of that game for Cleveland, Stan Kovaleski, who signed this saying they would not step foot in the field ever again.
While the petition paper itself, because of its historical value, will attract a price of.
I'd put an auction estimate of $800 to $1,200 on it, okay?
Our guest brought in 17 colourful posters from the 1930s, which were originally discovered in his grandfather's attic in Plainfield, New Jersey. These posters, known as work incentive posters, were designed to motivate traveling salesmen.
These posters are all from 1935, and what they are is a genre of posters that are called work incentive posters.
The appraiser explained that these posters were printed by the Sheldon Clare Company, and
these were printed in Chicago by the Sheldon Clare Company. The historical record says the company began in the 1930s.
Each poster carried motivational slogans like "Turn more and you'll sell more," and "Winning an argument may lose a sale," focusing on productivity over confrontation. A standout piece featured Rodin's Thinker with zeppelins and airplanes in the background, emphasizing that.
This one with an image of Rodin's Thinker. Thought is essential to business development. The thinker wins. And this is a great image. It's got zeppelins and airplanes.
The appraiser noted that these posters were part of a weekly series, with each poster representing 1 week of the year, making them both rare and historically significant. While the guest estimated the collection's value at $500, the appraiser revealed they were worth.
The total for that is between $6,800 and $10,200 for those 17.
Wow, that's crazy.
Art lovers are known for acquiring and preserving artworks, often with the intention of building a collection that holds personal significance. We have here a collection of great works belonging to a famous guest, Ruben Blades. Ruben Blades is one of the most influential and successful Latin American singer-songwriters and actors. This collection features a work titled Flash Gordon by Mac Raboy. Mac Raboy, a mysterious and introverted American comic book artist and illustrator, was best known for his work on the Fawcett comic series Captain Marvel.
Mac Raboy, he took over for Alex Raymond, the originator, when Raymond went into the service.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a great piece.
This Flash Gordon comic image will generate a price of.
This is probably somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000.
Oh, wow.
The next item is an amazing artwork created by Frank Frazetta.
Oh, Frank Frazetta. He's the godfather of fantasy.
Frank Frazetta was an iconic American science fiction and fantasy artist known for his influential paintings that helped define the genre. This piece features a struggle for survival between a snake and a tiger. This amazing drawing by Frazetta will command a price of...
Your drawing here probably is in the range of $25,000 to $35,000.
Yeah, well...
Lastly, from this collection, we have the original artwork for Punk magazine, featuring Lou Reed on the cover. Lou Reed was an American musician, singer, songwriter, and poet, known as a key figure in the rock industry. The value of this piece, which features the image of Lou Reed, will attract a price of...
I think you're looking at probably somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000.
This piece offers a stunning view of Notre Dame de Paris, with the iconic Notre Dame Cathedral visible on the horizon. It was painted by Sir Claude Francis Barry, a British etcher and oil painter known for his mastery of both pointillism and limited flat colour palettes. The artist's signature is located at the bottom, though it is currently hidden by the frame.
This picture is signed, it's signed down here, it's hiding behind the frame, and on the back he's given us a clue as to when it was painted. It's dated 65.
A clue on the back dates the painting to approximately 1965, during the mature period of Barry's career, when his expertise with colour was fully developed.
He had this incredible ability to join together such an amazing colour palette.
The work reflects Barry's passion for travel, as he spent considerable time living in France. In terms of value, this painting's exotic colour palette and its depiction of one of Paris's most exquisite landmarks make it a valuable collector's piece. It would likely sell at auction for between £12,000 and £18,000.
I would have thought this came onto the auction market today, we'd probably put an estimate in the region of £12,000 to £18,000.
Nice.
This buck is not a buck of spells or a history buck.
You brought in this atlas, Johnson's Family Atlas, with the date 1863.
It's an early atlas that shows the map of the state of Virginia. Basically, an atlas is a book that contains a collection of maps that are bound together. Interestingly, the atlas here is dated 1863, which was the year that West Virginia became a state. Additionally, the atlas was made to differentiate between Union and Confederate states. However, the makers couldn't keep up with the evolving changes. What's more, it would have been seen as treason to recognize a Confederate state in the atlas.
The makers of this atlas just couldn't keep up with the changes as to what was Union territory, what was Confederate territory.
Nonetheless, the condition of this atlas is still in top, crisp shape.
And then this one is in very good condition. Okay. So you've got a fine piece here.
Furthermore, it's a historical piece since it is the earliest map that mentions Virginia. At auction, because of how iconic this atlas is, it could fetch.
Nowadays, I'd say an atlas like this is worth about $2,200 to $2,500.
Cigars are more than just symbols of luxury. They can carry immense historical significance. The appraiser examines a tube discovered by the owner's grandsons while exploring the attic. They excitedly revealed a tube addressed to Monsieur Poulet, inscribed with...
As you see, is addressed to Monsieur Poulet. Yes. And it says, to Morris, from Mr. Churchill.
Recognizing the handwriting as her mother-in-law's, the owner felt a personal connection to the find. Inside the tube was a remarkable treasure, one of Winston Churchill's famous cigars. Another grandson also uncovered a newspaper article in the same box. This article recounted how Churchill celebrated with members of the London Association by giving each a cigar. The article also said,
which says, Cigars with Churchill. The French people are delighted with the new story of Mr. Churchill.
Tied to Churchill's iconic status, rarity and historical significance make this a truly extraordinary and valuable discovery. While examining the condition of the item, the appraiser said,
the cigar is worth £2,000.
No.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Imagine owning a collection of one of the greatest music groups to ever exist. Well, that's exactly what this collection of photographs and a bag is. The collection consists of photographs and a bag that belonged to the Beatles. The Beatles were a famous English rock band formed in 1960 in Liverpool. This collection marked the Beatles' second trip to the United States.
Well, what you have here is a collection of 24 photographs from their second American tour.
Interestingly, there are 24 photographs that also show the Beatles in 1965. Plus, there is also a Beatles bag, which was a sensation back in the day.
There are probably more than 10 of these bags made. They were provided to the group, of course, personalized with their own name.
Most fans at the time thought the bag was rare, however, it's not. Nevertheless, this doesn't affect the fact that this is an iconic collection. Thus, if it were to come up at a suitable auction, an estimate would be
About $2,720 and $3,600 at auction.
Okay.
Our guest brought a collection of artwork created by her uncle, Roy Dean DeForest, a renowned artist. Her earliest memories include sitting with him, doodling at the kitchen table where they exchanged artistic ideas.
My earliest memories of him are sitting at the kitchen table, doodling.
This specific collection, made in the late 1950s, was created while DeForest worked at an iron foundry in Richmond. Inspired by a children's book idea from the guest's mother, he drew illustrations for a dark story about a mischievous tooth fairy named Chlorophyll. These vibrant, imaginative artworks remained unseen by the public, only viewed by close family members. The appraiser admired the energetic composition and noted that DeForest's style.
Sometimes early work doesn't look like anything that's coming next. And this really is quite mature.
This 13-piece collection, done in gouache on paperboard, was valued at
An insurance value of maybe $40,000 for the collection of 13.
Our guest humorously shared that wearing one of DeForest's shirts makes her feel like he still has her back. Our guest discovered these tiles at an estate sale, hidden in a water-soaked box inside a storage shed. At first, she thought the tiles might be Pennsylvania Dutch in origin. However, the appraiser revealed that the tiles were actually made by Moore & Company in a small factory near his hometown. Interestingly, the appraiser once worked at the same tile works, restoring and researching similar tiles. He admired the craftsmanship and vibrant colors of the tiles, noting that they had never been installed or placed in mortar. These tiles' pristine condition and historical value make them highly desirable among collectors. The appraiser estimated that, if presented in an antique shop, this set could be priced at
Certainly it would be priced at about perhaps $1,000.
Our guest presented a pocket watch that once belonged to his grandfather, William Butler Ferris, a British consul in Aden in the 1890s. Ferris was awarded this watch by the King of Italy as recognition for helping negotiate the release of Italian prisoners of war in Ab Initio. This watch was crafted by Lutra, a renowned Swiss watchmaker, and features dual complications, a minute repeater and a chronograph. The minute repeater chimes the hours, quarters and minutes, allowing time to be read even in the dark. A unique aspect is the original box, which enables the watch to chime from inside when a cord is pulled, an uncommon feature. Though the original chain was sold during the 1930s to fund education,
my grandfather had to pay for my father and his brother's public school education, so he sold the chain in the 30s.
The appraiser highlighted the watch's superb condition, original box, and matching replacement chain as elements that add to its value.
And it fits into the box so well, and really is exactly the type of style that I would expect to see of this type of watch from this period.
If offered at auction, the appraiser estimated it could fetch over.
I really believe you'd be looking at a final figure in excess of $20,000 for it.
Wow.
Albums often serve as time capsules, preserving moments that shape our history and personal narratives. An individual presents a photograph album that belonged to their father and Emma's grandfather, who participated in the D-Day landing the day after it occurred. Photos from June 7, 1944, D+1, are featured in the album. Taken by the grandfather, a Ream member with a rare soldier's camera.
I've seen sort of the professional photographs, but I've never seen someone take their own private photographs, as it were.
Awe fills the viewer as they consider the significance of a photo showcasing the grandfather landing, noting the uniqueness of identifying someone in such a historical moment. Additional images of crash-landed American gliders known as Wacos used to transport jeeps enhance the album's value. The extraordinary nature of these personal snapshots highlights how unusual it was for an ordinary soldier to take photographs during wartime.
You know, I thought I wished I'd asked him more about it.
What was his name again?
Jack Shelley.
While recalling that their grandfather had briefly shown them the album when they were younger, the individual regrets not asking him more about it after his passing. While examining the condition of the item, the appraiser said,
"Do you know, I think this is probably £300 or £400.
Oh, wow.
This elegant French doll was brought from France in 1868 and belonged to the owner's great-aunt, who never married. The doll, made between 1868 and 1870, has a rich history and comes with a special wardrobe. Each piece of clothing was made during the same period, preserving its authenticity. The doll is identified as an FG doll, crafted by François Gauthier.
The doll is what we call an FG doll. It was made by François Gauthier.
Its body features fabric and a metal armature, while its hands and legs are beautifully molded from bisque. The doll's clothing includes a unique fan pocket, original buttons, a purse, and a hat.
the clothing, there's a body of fabric with a metal armature.
Despite minor damage, such as a replaced foot and a crack on the breastplate, the doll's value remains high. The appraiser estimated its retail value at
Put a value of $5,000.
$5,000. Oh my goodness.
An old rug hides a rich story. Bought in a market in the 1980s, it found a home.
I believe he picked it up in Peru or Ecuador in about the 80s, he and his wife.
It stayed in the family for years and passed down after its owner died in 2008, but its story began long before. In 1942, a workshop was born. It gave artisans fair pay and creative freedom.
A workshop that's called Olga Fish. It was a woman, Olga Fish, who started a workshop in Ecuador in 1942.
Rug weaving, a new craft in the region, took shape. Traditional designs mixed with modern ideas. The Caballito design, made in the 1970s, reflected this blend. A piece of both history and innovation.
And one of the things they made were rugs, which is not a traditional Ecuadorian craft.
The label proudly reveals its origin, a stunning creation from folklore crafted in the heart of Quito. Today, this exquisite piece is worth between $7,000 and $7,500, a testament to its artistry and allure.
I actually think the value is somewhere $7,000, $7,500 in that sort of range. So it's a beautiful thing. So thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
About 3 or 4 years ago, the guest bought a house previously owned by the son of Hugh Dupree, the founder of Herman Miller. A neighbor offered to sell them a Herman Miller bedroom set, which included this chest.
And a neighbor came by and she said that she was selling some Herman Miller bedroom furniture.
The house, designed by George Nelson in 1946, inspired the purchase of matching George Nelson furniture. This chest, designed in 1946, debuted at the Grand Rapids Summer Market in 1947 and appeared in the 1948 catalogue. It was produced for about a decade, with customizable drawers and optional legs or bench support, reflecting post-war design.
Replacing Gilbert Rohde, who died as the design director at Herman Miller. Your chest here was designed in 1946.
Made from Primavera wood, it features aluminium handles and still carries the original Herman Miller decal from the mid-1950s. Our guest paid $1,500 for the chest, knowing its value from the seller, whose uncle worked at Herman Miller. According to the appraiser, the chest value is at
Modest retail value would be in the neighborhood of $1,200 to $1,500.
Okay.
This guest presents a wonderful memorabilia collection inherited from her father, Ari Bresterberg.
So I brought some of my dad's World War II memorabilia. He was a Dutch Jedburgh, a special ops soldier.
He was a Dutch Jedburgh, a special ops soldier during World War II, credited with saving General Gavin's life in Holland during the war.
He spotted a machine gunist in a tree and shot him before the machine gunners had a chance to shoot General Gavin.
The Dutch Special Forces, known as the Korpskommandotroepen KTC, were an elite unit of the Royal Netherlands Army. They are highly trained for various operations, including counter-terrorism, reconnaissance, and unconventional warfare. Coincidentally, we have a volunteer on the show whose grandfather was General Gavin. He instantly recollected the story after meeting the guest. Of the entire collection presented by the guest, this little handkerchief stands out as the antique piece of the collection. These handkerchiefs are often used as part of the KTC's tradition and operational gear. They serve practical purposes, such as wiping sweat, signaling, or even acting as makeshift bandages. Additionally, they carry distinctive patterns or insignia that represent the unit, as seen in the presented piece. The insignia is symbolic in fostering camaraderie among members and signaling their affiliation. The handkerchief bears the signature of some fellow comrades. But what truly enhances its value is the wings insignia. Presented in excellent condition, the provenance and rarity of this piece suggest it would have a retail value of.
You have in the neighborhood of $10,000 worth of Claude insignia right there on that table.
No way.
3 remarkable ceramic items capture the essence of artistry and craftsmanship, each with its own unique history. One striking figure, a ballad singer from the Saxon court, was modelled by Candler and Mayer around the 1760s. Dressed in elaborate attire, the singer holds a song sheet in his left hand, embodying the spirit of the era. Another captivating piece is a pair of vases known as Schnabel or Snowball. These vases feature intricate cherry blossoms and snowball motifs entwined with delicate green leaves. Perched on each vase are 2 bright yellow canaries, adding a vibrant contrast to the overall design.
Trailing with these lovely green leaves, and perched upon each one are 2 bright yellow canaries.
Finally, a graceful Great Dane, modelled by Max Esser around 1925, depicts the elegance of this noble breed.
Finally, we have a graceful Great Dane, modelled by Max Esser.
S's dedication to detailed craftsmanship shines through in his 75-piece series, inspired by Reynard the Fox. At auction, the estimated value of these items ranges from...
Well, they're all about £3,000 to £4,000 each.
In Iraq in 2006 to 2007, he spotted the Defender's #1, page 1 online and bought it for around $7,000. Created by writer Roy Thomas and artist Ross Andrew, this comic introduced heroes outside the traditional superhero mold. The Defenders, an informal alliance, tackled mystical threats with a darker anti-establishment tone, reflecting early 1970s cultural shifts. The original Defenders lineup featured Doctor Strange, the Hulk, and Namor the Submariner.
Whereas when the Defenders first came, your three initial members are the Incredible Hulk, Doctor Strange, and Namor the Submariner.
Ross Andrews' artwork in the Defenders #1 added a gritty style that enhanced its supernatural themes. Andrews' art highlighted the characters' emotions and the darkness of their enemies. Roy Thomas's writing added philosophical depth, exploring existentialism and personal responsibility. Appreciating its artistic significance, the appraiser valued the item.
I would put a catalog estimate on it of $15,000 to $20,000.
Whoa.
This icebox is not only a charming find, but also a unique piece of history. Discovered at an antique store in Washington for just $25, it resembles a child's toy and has become a centerpiece in the speaker's home. Accompanying it is a fantastic Memphis-style ice bucket designed by George Briard.
Really fantastic Memphis-style ice bucket by Georges Briard. He was an American designer active in the 20th century.
A notable American designer from the 20th century. Although the style shares a name with the Tennessee city, it originated in Italy and became popular in the 1980s. Despite being crafted from plastic, it exudes a fabulous aesthetic. While examining the condition of the item, the appraiser said,
I would insure this for $500.
No.
Orientalism emerged in the 19th century, captivating both artists and audiences. Vincent Stipovich, the Russian-born artist, created the artwork featured on today's show.
She's just lovely. It's by an artist whose name is Stipovich. Now, there is a plaque here.
A chance visit to the family friend's home led to our guest being gifted this stunning Orientalist painting. The painting depicts a Western woman in an exotic Middle Eastern setting, epitomizing Orientalism. Orientalism, popular during the 19th century, sparked a fascination with the Middle East.
The Orientalists were popular for most of the second half of the 19th century.
Signed in the upper right corner and with a plaque, the painting's authenticity is confirmed. The frame, acquired for $5, beautifully complements the elegance of the painting. Stipovich's skillful brushstrokes transport viewers into an enchanting world.
There was a great interest in the Middle East. People traveled to the Middle East.
In fact, the painting's story is intertwined with our guest's personal history of acquiring it. The initial investment was just $35, but in today's market, this stunning piece will fetch.
Today, a very fair auction estimate on this painting would be between $15,000 and $20,000.
Wow.
The guest presented a collection of illustrations acquired from her uncle. The pieces were created by Zdenek Buran, a Czech artist from Moravia. The appraiser provided background on Buran, noting his success as an illustrator by the mid-1920s. His work included illustrations for prominent authors like Robert Louis Stevenson and Zane Grey, as well as for various Czech and English-language publications. The appraiser identified one piece as an oil painting on illustration board. The painting had minor flaws.
This sort of has some pluses and minuses to it.
The next illustration was a color gouache featuring a contemplative figure in vibrant colors, praised for its quality and visual appeal. The third piece was a monochromatic gouache in grisé, or shades of grey, depicting a dramatic scene of rushing water. Though less desirable than the color gouache, this piece retained value due to its compelling subject matter. Altogether, the collection was valued at an estimated
At auction, you'd probably be looking at about $8,000 to $10,000 for the bunch.
Wow.
A striking Currier and Eves print depicting Lookout Mountain surfaced from a family collection.
We have a picture of Lookout Mountain. This came out of your husband's grandmother's family, is that right?
Yes.
It originally belonged to the husband's ancestors, who lived in the Lookout Mountain area. This original large folio print is considered one of the finest regional works by Currier and Ives. The famed publisher was celebrated for capturing the beauty of American landscapes in remarkable detail. Given the popularity of train-themed prints, the image features a train, which enhances its desirability among collectors. With excellent color quality and historical significance tied to the family's roots in the region,
The print carries considerable value. However, some areas of the print require cleaning and restoration to enhance its presentation. After restoration, the value could increase to approximately.
So then it would be worth about $6,000 to $6,500.
Okay.
That would also help preserve it.
A collection of dollhouse furniture, originally purchased in the early 1940s, tells a heartwarming story of familial intention. The furniture was acquired by a father who planned to build a dollhouse for his child. Though the dollhouse was never built amid his busy law career, the furniture stayed pristine, nestled in its original boxes. This set transforms any dollhouse into a cozy home, complete with a living room, kitchen, dining room, and bedrooms. Crafted by Tootsietoy, a Chicago toy maker, this collection beautifully captures the essence of 1930s design.
And what's interesting about Doust and Tootsietoy was they were able to find an economic way to mass-produce furniture.
Tootsietoy, under the Doubt's name, cleverly revolutionized the mass production of toy furniture. Remarkably, an original price tag reveals the entire set cost just $1.25 at the time of purchase. Die-cast metal furniture showcases intricate designs with flocked surfaces for a soft, elegant touch. Showcasing era charm, the kitchen set boasts a monitor-top fridge and Hoosier cupboard.
They have a monitor-top refrigerator. They have the type of stove they would use in today, a Hoosier-type looking cupboard.
With 8 sets in total, an auction estimate for the entire collection ranges from.
An auction estimate would be $2,500 to $3,000 for everything because you have all 8 of these.
A vibrant shadow box captures the spirit of the America's Cup race, a storied competition between the US and Great Britain. The artwork commemorates a specific victory in 1885, when the American yacht Puritan triumphed over its British rivals. Notably, the Puritan was associated with Boston, and it was owned by John Forbes, a wealthy and successful Bostonian. This cherished piece has passed through 4 generations, from great-grandfather to the mother to the guest.
This has been in my family for 4 generations. My grandfather got it from his father. My mother gave it to me.
The artwork is likely from the period between 1885 and 1900 and features a background made of an artist's board. Sewn and appliqued sails billow above vibrant figures on deck, charming cutouts adorned with painted details and sparkling mica. Expertly painted to capture the choppy waters the Puritan sailed, the sea is depicted with crinkled paper. A whimsical touch graces the piece with a playful inscription reading "Winner of the American Cup" instead of the America's Cup. An auction estimate for this charming piece ranges between
something in the range of $4,000 to $6,000 would be an auction estimate.
We have a pictorial needlework that was completed by the great-great-grandmother of our guest.
This needlework was completed by my great-great-grandmother.
This needlework depicts a school, St. Joseph Academy, in a beautifully made scene.
The school that she attended was started by a very important lady in the field of Catholic schools.
St. Joseph Academy was the first Catholic school for girls in the United States, founded in 1810 by Elizabeth Ann Seton. Elizabeth Ann Seton was the first U.S.-born citizen to be given the title of saint. Mother Seton was canonized by Pope Paul VI.
And Elizabeth Seton was born in 1774. At the age of 28, she found herself widowed with 5 children.
This school, founded by Elizabeth, was located in a town named Emmitsburg, 50 miles outside of Baltimore. Initially, the main house in the pictorial scene was called St. Joseph House, but was later changed to St. Joseph College. Interestingly, this pictorial needlework of the school features Emmitsburg in the background. This wonderful needlework is said to have been made by the students in the school between 1821 and 1822 using silk material. There is a reward of merit, a premium, alongside this piece given to the artist for excellent work, dated July 3, 1822. Scholars have speculated that the background of this piece may have been made by the teachers while the students did the embroidery. Considering the uniqueness and high quality of this pictorial needlework, it is expected to fetch a price of.
I think today what we're going to do is place an insurance valuation on this of $50,000.
A striking Chinese porcelain bowl with a copper red glaze and white rim was inherited from the guest's grandfather. The bowl features a collector's label indicating it originated from an old collection. A rain mark on the underside, Da King Kanxi Nianqi, indicates this piece was crafted during the Qing dynasty under Emperor Kangji.
Kangxi Nianzhi, made in the Qing dynasty during the reign of the Emperor Kangxi.
Crafted at the imperial kilns in Jingdazhen, this bowl stands as an authentic treasure, significantly boosting its value. Unique in shape, the bowl stands apart from the typical flared rim or flat saucer forms of its era.
This distinctive design suggests it may have served a ritualistic purpose during the Kanji period, though the exact function remains a mystery. Referred to as sacrificial red, the glaze is evenly applied and visually stunning. With only a handful of comparable pieces known, this bowl is valued between.
It would carry a pre-sale estimate of $30,000 to $50,000.
Oh, dear goodness.
In the summer of 2019, a captivating painting was purchased at an auction held on a stormy day.
I brought a painting that I bought the summer of 2019 at an auction.
Upon seeing the painting, a nostalgic pull echoed from a brief time in Switzerland, finding its perfect place in the center hall of the home. Despite the painting's charm, the artist's identity remained unknown, though letters at the bottom hinted at a name. Upon further examination, it was revealed that the painting was by Edgar Payne, a California artist born in 1883 and who passed away in 1947. Payne, a California impressionist, celebrated the Sierra Nevada's beauty in vibrant plein-air works. This oil painting on masonite dazzles with a thick impasto technique, revealing glimpses of the substrate that enhance its character. A frequent muse for Payne, the painting captures a reflective lake that inspired a lake bearing his name. The composition featured a horizon line where the lake met the mountains, accented by a striking sky in a beautiful robin's egg blue. Such transition of colors from white snow to various shades of blue and gray created a visually stunning piece. Touches of yellow in the trees further enhanced the vibrancy.
And even in the forest down here, you get to see some yellows in the trees. So top to bottom, I think it's a really spectacular little gem.
Current market estimates for a painting of this size at auction range between
would be worth somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000.
Ooh, nice.
This sculpture, crafted from a pair of shoes, was made by Weiwei. Weiwei is a Chinese contemporary artist, documentarian and activist who encapsulates political conviction and poetic expression in his numerous sculptures, photographs and public works.
This was in Ai Weiwei's first show in New York City in 1988. The piece is signed and dated on the back.
This particular piece was acquired by the current owner, the guest, at a yard sale in 2001. It is signed and dated 1988 on the back, which enhances its authenticity. Titled One Man's Shoes, this sculpture addresses themes of surveillance, state power, and individuality in contemporary society.
You said the title of this is?
One Man's Shoe.
Right, so, and it was in an exhibition. You know the name of the exhibition?
Old Shoes, Safe Sex, I believe.
That's right.
The work is part of Ai Weiwei's broader exploration of social justice and human rights, and consists of a single pair of slightly worn shoes. Approximately 5 of these sculptures were created, with some having previously been sold. The worn, everyday objects encourage viewers to empathize with the struggles of those who may otherwise be anonymous or overlooked. Contemporary Chinese artworks, especially those by Weiwei, are rare and highly desirable. In a conservative auction estimate, given the rarity and significance of this piece, we can expect it to fetch.
In a gallery setting, this piece would probably sell for about $100,000.
Here we have an avid folk art collector presenting 2 antique walking sticks for appraisal. Both are signed, though not by a well-known carver. Typically, when a carver creates a walking stick, it's for personal use, often including small personal details on it, and then they rarely make another. These particular canes, however, are signed by their maker, Robert H. Craig, with one dated 1881. We know a bit about Mr. Craig. One of his walking sticks features a Masonic emblem, and at the top, a carved Holy Bible, along with symbols like a fish and a shoe.
The Masonic emblem, and up here we have a carved Holy Bible.
Flash forward 21 years, and here we see a second cane signed by Mr. Craig in 1902. His growth as an artist is evident in this later piece. It's truly remarkable and rare that these 2 canes have stayed together.
And that is so terrific, and it's so rare that these 2 would have stayed together.
The second cane was crafted from a larger piece of wood and intricately carved, featuring animals and symbols that are extraordinary examples of American folk art. Mr. Craig painted the background with polychrome paint, leaving the animals themselves unpainted, which gives a striking contrast.
In terms of American folk art, he painted the background with a polychrome paint, and left all the animals unpainted.
The finishes are entirely original. As for their valuation, the first cane would be valued in the folk art market at approximately $600 to $800. However, the second cane is more than just a walking stick. It's almost a totem of American folk carving. Its retail value is estimated between
somewhere in the $20,000 to $25,000 range.
Hoorah!
This is a lovely view of the Live building from Birkenhead.
Yep.
The artist Fred Yates has signed his name at the bottom of the painting. the renowned L.S. Lowry. The photograph shows a magnificent bridal party held in 1899, adorned with lush flowers. However, the true point of interest is the jewelry. These diamonds carry sentiments of love and bittersweet joy, enhancing the necklace's beauty. The brooch, designed in the form of a clover leaf, is set with diamonds and pearls, symbolizing true love. But at auction, the brooch would likely sell for about £400 to £600. The necklace, with its exquisite chain and original vault, is valued at approximately.
So that would have an auction estimate.
The guest brought a doll that originally belonged to her grandfather, who was a salesman in New York. The guest believed the doll was used as a sample for customers at stores. However, it was not a salesman sample, but rather a deluxe toy for a young child. The doll was made by Kestner, a famous German doll maker who proclaimed himself the king of the dolls. Kestner started by making porcelain or china doll heads before moving on to bisque dolls. Kestner dolls were a cherished part of antique doll history, known for their exquisite craftsmanship and attention to detail. The particular doll was made in 1910 and came in its original German-labeled box, which was rare. The appraiser noted that the doll was sold as a set.
What's wonderful about your doll is it's in its original German-labeled box.
This Kestner 171 doll was characterized by its standing pose and elegant attire. It featured a mohair wig, sleep eyes that could close, and an open mouth with little teeth. The item was considered favorable among collectors due to its original box and good condition. The value of the doll at auction was estimated to be significant.
Would be between $6,000 and $8,000.
Okay,
yeah.
Great.
This is a Rolex Oyster Perpetual wristwatch. Perpetual means it is self-winding. The guest brought a rifle that belonged to her great-grandfather. The appraiser identified the rifle as a cavalry carbine made by the Starr Arms Company in New York.
So the gun was made by the Starr Arms Company of New York, and they had gone into business in the late 1850s.
The Starr Arms Company was a prominent firearms manufacturer located in New York during the mid-19th century. Their most famous products include the Starr Model 1858 Army revolver and the Starr carbine. This specific rifle was a breech-loading carbine, meaning it was loaded from the breech rather than the muzzle, which was the standard at the time. The rifle was in excellent, untouched condition, which was rare given the low survival rate of these firearms. Given the rarity and historical importance, the value determined for each item was.
In an auction setting, this gun's going to sell between $2,500 and $3,500.
Surrounding the Palm House in Liverpool are statues of famous explorers who helped chart the world. One of them is the renowned British explorer, cartographer and naval officer Captain James Cook. He is celebrated for his 3 voyages between 1768 and 1779, particularly in the Pacific Ocean, New Zealand and Australia. They are Georgian silver spoons from the 1750s. Engraved on them are the initials JC for James Cook. This extraordinary photographic collection transports us to a bygone era, where rebellious spirits and roaring engines forged a legacy. These vintage photographs originated from our guest's grandfather, a testament to his adventures in the 1920s.
And he gave them to me because I'm the one that knows about archives and working in the art business.
Great.
This rich photographic heritage consists of 128 images, with many thanks to the guest's uncle's diligent preservation efforts.
This whole archive is 138 photographs. A lot of it has been in my uncle's possession up until a year and a half ago.
In the early 20th century, a rebellious spirit swept across America, fueled by the rumble of engines and the thrill of the open road. As motorcycles gained popularity, groups of riders began to band together, forming clubs that embodied freedom, camaraderie, and a desire for adventure.
It was a time of rebellion against the middle class, and my great-grandfather was Oakland Feed and Grain Company.
From the 1910s to the 1930s, motorcycle clubs sprouted up nationwide, drawing in veterans, outcasts, and thrill-seekers. These pioneers forged a distinct culture, marked by leather jackets, tattoos, and a code of loyalty. As World War I and the Great Depression shaped America, motorcycle clubs adapted, providing support networks and community. Post-war, the rise of returning veterans and Hollywood's glamorization of bikers further fueled the movement. A striking aspect of this collection is the presence of women, shedding light on their often overlooked role in early motorcycle culture.
In the 1920s, is that there's women as well.
Oh, yes.
Women were just beginning to be able to vote.
Among the collection, this image is especially meaningful, as it captures the guest's grandfather in a moment of time. The collective value of these iconic images at auction is projected to be.
We're looking at a total value at auction between $4,200 and $6,300 at auction.
This guest brought a painting onto the show. Not just any painting, but one created by Edward Mitchell Bannister. Edward Michael Bannister was a Canadian-American oil painter of the American Barbizon School.
This was about 40 years ago, so everything's a little sketchy, but they bought this and a couple other paintings at a flea market.
What stands out immediately is Bannister's masterful use of light and texture, capturing not just a scene but an entire atmosphere. This painting evokes a quiet majesty, inviting the viewer to step into a moment suspended in time. The painting serves as a window into the natural world, viewed through the eyes of a pioneering artist who defied racial barriers to make his mark in the 19th century. As one of the few prominent black artists of his era, he brought a unique perspective to landscapes, making his work both beautiful and historically significant. Typical of Bannister's work, this piece captures a group of cattle on a patch of land under a stunning sky. In the bottom right corner, we can see the artist's signature along with the date 1879.
There's an artist called Edward Mitchell Bannister. One of the reasons he's famous is he was the first African-American artist to come to national prominence.
Some minor scratches are visible, which is expected given the painting's age. Paintings by Bannister are exceptionally rare, and in this condition, this piece would be valued at.
So would it surprise you further to learn that it's worth, at auction, I would say $6,000 to $10,000?
This remarkable piece has been treasured and passed down through the guest family for 3 generations.
This has been in our family for 3 generations now. Came down from my wife's grandmother to her mother and to my wife.
Presented here is an astonishing piece of porcelain featuring a hallmark on the back. The hallmark displays an impressed mark of a cattle alongside the name of the producing company, Metlock. Metlock was actually a factory of the renowned pottery and porcelain manufacturing company Villeroy & Boch.
And Metlock was actually a division of another company called Villeroy & Boch.
Founded in 1748 by Francois Boch, Villeroy & Boch originally began as a pottery manufacturer. In 1766, it merged with the factory owned by the ceramicist Nicolas Villeroy, giving the company its current name. Villeroy & Boch was a pioneer in the ceramic industry, and in the 19th century they introduced new production techniques, including the use of kaolin, which allowed for the creation of finer porcelain. Beneath the hallmark it reads VB and is accompanied by an impressed 01, indicating that the piece was made in 1901. The Metlock factory became one of the most significant production sites for Villeroy & Boch, especially known for its stoneware steins and decorative ceramics. Among their second biggest products were large plaques or chargers designed for decorative purposes. This particular piece is designed with bright and vivid colors, featuring a gnome or dwarf sitting in a forest of toadstools, eating porridge and gazing at a fairy.
There's another dwarf sitting in a forest of toadstools, and he's reading a book, but he doesn't have the company of the lovely fairy.
Interestingly, this plaque likely had a companion piece, as such plaques typically came in pairs.
Depiction of
the scene. Now, this had a companion plaque. These plaques usually came in pairs.
On the front of the plaque is the name of the designer, Heinrich Schlitt. Schlitt was a German painter and illustrator known for his fantasy motifs featuring gnomes, dwarves, and fairies. He was one of the in-house artists at the Villeroy & Boch ceramic company in Metlock, and his designs for their beer steins remain popular among collectors to this day.
Particularly like the work of this artist. He did such great work that there's always a premium on anything that he designed.
Presented in excellent condition, this ceramic plaque or charger would sell at auction for a conservative estimate of.
This particular plaque would usually retail for somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000.